company is showing people how to pivot their business and bring it online. So it doesn't matter whether we've got jeweler clients, interior designers, coaches, consultants. We're really showing them how to switch their business model up and do it online. And the beautiful thing about that, it really sits with my core values, because for me, I'm a mum to 2 kids. They're 5 and 7, Jack and Frankie. And, you know, for me, putting my business online was really about me serving myself as a mother and being able to give time to my kids at the same time as building some really, you know, big and successful businesses just from my little home office.
Yeah, perfect. And what I'd love to know from you, first of all, is in the last couple of weeks, what are you seeing with your clients and with all the women that you're working with in businesses? What have been the trends and the concerns coming up?
Totally. So it's like with COVID-19 breaking the way that we were living before and opening up this whole new way of living, initially what I've been seeing for a lot of women, a lot of families, is confusion and chaos and self-doubt and overwhelm of like, oh my God, how am I going to have these small people in my house? How am I going to homeschool them? You know, how am I going to be able to still make money at the same time as having kids around? Am I going to be like that guy who was on the, do you remember the guy in the interview and he was trying to be all serious and then the toddler comes in and then the baby and the mum come in? You know, everyone's got these fears around like, am I not going to show up as professional? And how am I going to literally use the technology? So all of this chaos in amongst all of this.
Yeah. So a lot of chaos, a lot of overwhelm. And how, I guess, let's cut straight to the chase, and what people are wanting to hear is, how are you pivoting in your own business, first of all? And then what exactly are you allowing and supporting women to do? What is working? What do we need to be doing to ensure that our businesses are safe during this time, and that we prosper, and that we are financially safe, emotionally okay?
Well, let's put it into 2 brackets for the moment. So one I'm going to talk about for business, and one I'm going to talk about how that impacts your family. So from a business perspective, like, we actually have an incredible opportunity right now. So if anyone's in any sort of service-based business, and look, if you're a product-based business, it's actually a relatively easy switch to going online. Now, they may not think it is, but if you get the right mindset that it is, it can be. For service-based professionals, so, you know, people who are in person, a lot of health professionals, like, they're the ones finding it really challenging. But what we're seeing is that if you open your mind to creativity, open your mind to doing things in ways that we've never, ever seen it before, there is so much potentiality. And I believe, and I'm just going to cut to the chase, I believe that we've been asking for this. I believe we haven't been asking for COVID-19, but we have been asking for a really long time to free up our lives. We've been asking to have a way to do business that is more serving to us and more serving to our families. And so what we're showing people is how to pivot what they're doing from like a practical sense and go online. But it's more about like, who are you? Like, what is your calling? What is your role right here, right now? And then what are your people struggling with? What are they struggling with? And meet their needs right here, right now. So from a business perspective, it's like, before we were able to hide away behind our computers, or hide away in the smallness and fluffy marketing words and all of this, right? And just kind of getting there. You are being called to get very clear, very specific, and show people a transformation. So that's the beauty of online. There's so many different ways that we can do that and deliver that. So we're showing people how to do that. We're also showing them why to do that too. Let's take it over to families. We've been asking for this. We've been asking for more time with our families. We've been asking for more connection with our kids for decades and decades, right? You know, we've lived in this society where we're like, oh, I'm so busy. I wish I had more time with the kids. Maybe we book a holiday to Fiji. That will help us reconnect, right? You know, and it's like, Oh, no. You've just had landed in your lap the opportunity and time to have that connection with your children.
Yeah.
So I believe everything, whether it's business, family, and the blending of both, everything is a choice.
Mm.
So when I was saying to you before that we've got a lot of people that we, in overwhelm and chaos and like, oh, how am I going to homeschool my children? It's like, do you know what? If we actually make a choice that this is a massive positive and this is an opportunity and we were asking for it, it just showed up in a way that we weren't prepared for.
Yeah.
And are we ever prepared for anything? Then this can be the most engaging, beautiful, connecting time with your family ever, only if you choose. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. You know, when in the last few weeks when I've been working with my clients and families, it's been around shifting the focus. You know, once you shift your focus and you focus on that opportunity that's come up, then that overwhelm starts to decrease. You know, once we focus on something positive, then everything changes. Our reality completely changes, as you know. So what has, I guess, what's been coming up for your clients with shifting their focus? What have they needed to shift in order to completely transform their business? Essentially, and you're right, I really like what you said around, it's forcing us to get really clear and really stepping up into exactly who we serve and why we do it in a really powerful way that maybe we didn't have to do before. I really like that. So what are your clients having to shift their focus to in order to reduce their own overwhelm?
So it all starts with dropping perfectionism. Says the reformed perfectionist, right? So if we I'll give you an example. So I was watching a Facebook feed the other night and a whole bunch of mums were on there and they were talking about like homeschooling, like, how are you doing it? Like, what's the plan and all of this? And in my world, I'm going, that is the last of our worries. Like right here, right now, all your children need is your love and your attention.
That's right.
So instead of, like, if we dropped the perfectionism of like, oh my God, the kid's going to get left behind in schooling and all of that. Like if you're in year 11, year 12, like maybe there's, some knuckling down, but by that age, your kid should be independent enough to be able to focus. But with kids my age at 5 and 7, I'm like, we do a little bit in the morning and the rest of the day is a learning experience and it gets messy. I posted a photo yesterday and there's like cubbies and crap everywhere in our house and, we've got chickens and we've got the new puppy. Yeah. Like it's a mess and it's beautiful in that unperfect mess. Yeah. So if we drop the perfectionism and like just go take it easy for a moment, like it doesn't hurt our children to drop the schoolwork just for a while. Yeah. And look, I'm not saying it's forever. Like just allow yourselves to get into a nice routine and focus on the connection first. Going over to business, it's the same thing. So in the past, we had, and I'm calling it literally, like that past was a whole different world. We will never, ever go back there. We've got a whole new world, which sounds like I'm about to sing a song, right? Little Mermaid or something. I
know you like to sing.
I do like to sing. So there's a whole new world. And in this whole new world, we get to leave behind anything that stopped us from speaking our voice, getting our message out there. And before that was perfectionism. Yeah. And perfectionism leads to procrastination, self-doubt, lack of confidence, not showing up, not serving. So we get to drop that now. Yeah. And so, my phrase at the moment is progress over perfection. Can't even say it perfectly.
And that's perfect. So, and it's interesting. I've been having the same conversations with my clients this week around, families, and most of the families that I work with, there's a lot of services involved in therapies and a lot going on. And what this has forced them to do, delete everything. Everything has been deleted and removed. And now what they get to do is see what really was creating a positive impact. And actually, most of them are finding none of it was.
Wow.
It's just around all of societal expectation, fear around not being a perfect parent, you know, fear of the unknown of the child's future. Am I doing enough? All of that stuff plays into it, right?
Yeah.
And right now they're being forced to drop it. And I feel like another thing which I know that you speak about quite a bit is surrender and trust. And I wonder, you know, how you're going with that test now too, and also all of your clients and all of the women that are coming to you at the moment.
So I've been practicing this for a really long time, the art of surrender and the art of trust. And I believe I've been practicing it for this time.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm on my game. I'm aligned. I'm down the middle. I'm powerful. I'm stepping up as a leader. You know, for me, a challenge actually brings out the best in me because I've been practicing for it.
Yeah.
And I've been through GFCs and I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years and running other people's companies for many years before that. So I've seen, you know, the ups and downs. So for me, it's like dropping all of that expectations allows me to just go from a place of service and from love. And that's what we're really teaching our clients at the moment, to drop anything that had to do with ego. And ego, and what I mean by that is like false paradigms, false expectations, false standards of like where they should be or how much money they should be making or how perfect their kids need to be or the scores that their kids need to get at school, or like drop all of that. And that's surrendering to it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, COVID-19, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And most of us are in self-isolation. In other countries are in actual lockdown. It is what it is. And instead of resisting it and bucking up against it, if we just surrender to that and trust that all is, I said this in my training yesterday, that if you can change everything to, it's not happening to me, it's actually happening for me, that shifts everything. You know, that connect, you know, the space that you get to really understand your kids. And like to see them, like I love having my kids around 24/7. I love it. To me, it's, and you know me, I've always gone, you know, in the old days, I'm like, I really want to homeschool. And everyone's going, you're crazy, lady. You're crazy.
Yeah.
You run businesses and all of that. But guess what?
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yes.
And we're doing it. And there's no anxiety or pressure. Because by the way, here's what we lay on our kids, which you're the expert at. We lay our anxiety and pressure on our kids. They just want to be with us. And you get to see them blossom and shine. And like I was just saying to Rowan this morning, my husband, look at our kids. They're growing up so quickly, like in front of our eyes. Yeah. And they're not being sent off 5 days a week to go into someone else's care. I love it personally. And sure, it's challenging. Sure, there's sibling fights. You know, we are very free and open parents. So we are very accepting of behaviors. Right. So like if there's a tantrum and all of that, we're very accepting of that. We don't shut it down. So we're like, what do you need? Oh, I understand. You know, don't worry, you're safe and you're loved and everything's perfect.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's just such a beautiful opportunity. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you've always come from this understanding with your children in that, and this is what I have to teach my clients and work with them on, is that no child behaves in a way without wanting to have a need be met, right? There's always a need, and it's just up to us to try and tackle and find out what that need is. That's it. That's it. And when you can understand and appreciate that, all of the frustration seems to disappear. And then there's acceptance and patience that gets to roll in. That's the space that you provide. So I would, there's a lot of, I'm sorry, everyone, but there are a lot of control freaks out there. There are people that find it really difficult to surrender to what is really difficult. So for people that, you know, haven't had years of practice doing this, Genine, you know, what are the thoughts that have to come into your mind to start practicing that? Because I really believe that, as well as shifting your focus to the opportunity, is what is going to really help right now. So what would you suggest, you know, in business, in family, in any challenge that's coming up for families right now, what do you practice in the beginning now that works?
Yeah. You know, I will say that meditation has been one of my key factors that have helped me surrender.
Okay.
And what meditation does, it brings you into the present moment.
Yeah.
And so anytime, and you don't have to be in meditation to do this, any time that you move out of the present moment, you're trying to, if you go into the past, you're living from the past, and you can only recreate what you know from the past experiences. So if there's grief and shame and guilt and frustration, and you try and work from that place of how it was before, you're just bringing it into the now.
Yeah.
If you're living in the future about always running that one day it will get better. I wish that this would happen. I wish that this wasn't my situation. Again, on these spaces out there, there actually is no control, right? So, but control freaks, I say that with love because, look, you know, seriously,
because that was me too.
Yeah. And do I say reformed? You know, continually, you know, practicing. Totally. So my practice is anytime I go outside to the past or the future, I know that I'm trying to control something that I can't control. So it's coming back to the present moment of right here, right now, everything is perfectly imperfect. And that's the practice. That's the work.
And you know, that's the most simple. It sounds so simple, right? But it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But I think that is such a solid framework. I really like that. And for those of you watching, that's perfect. And even that's a good reminder to me as well, to be honest, you know, to keep coming back to the present. So also you touched on something else that I want to hear from you about, because I think this plays into business, it plays into relationships, it plays into child-parent relationships, this idea of when resistance meets resistance. So at the moment, we've got so many things coming up that are outside of our control. It's really testing our identities, it's testing our norms, our way of life, right? And what's going to happen if we keep resisting, and then what needs to happen from that space when we let go. So can you go into that? Because I think that's so beautiful in this space right now.
You know, I talk about how when you have like the past and the future come together, sometimes it feels like this. There's friction and the rub, because you know what? It's like there's never a perfect world. Right? And change has resistance. However, if we try and smack up against it and resist the change and want things to be how they were in the past, or want things to be different in the future, that's where the resistance can be. So that's where in the rubbing of that, the friction, that's when if you can just be in the messiness of it all. So it relates to everything that we've just said in this interview about the messy house and the chickens that were going off and the tech that didn't work properly and all of that stuff, whatever, it's all fine. And that's where, if you can, like, imagine sitting in a really messy room with stuff everywhere and chaos everywhere, but you just breathing and being okay with it, that is actual true peace. That is actual alignment. So when I was saying before about, you know, being here, it's not that right here there's no messiness going on. There is, you know, SHIT going on left, right, and center. But amid all of that, so let's put it into to practical and reality right now. So the reality, and I always do it with that because, you know, me, reality is just a self-fulfilling prophecy, all of that. But in reality, yes, people are very sick and dying. In reality, yes, people are losing their jobs and families are suffering financially. In reality, yes, you know, we've just been thrown into this mess of fear, chaos, etc. So if you can be here in the middle, even though there's the rub of the change going on, and actually surrender to that and be okay and know that it's actually happening for you. That's where the peace is. And I'm even doing like a bit of peace love among beats, meditation. That's where it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't stress that enough. Like, honestly, when people come to me and they're like, but what's the magic pill? Like, what else do I need to be doing? No. You don't need to be doing anything. You just need to be being.
Completely. Yes. And for people that maybe haven't heard that before, so not everybody in this space is going to know the difference between doing and being. What exactly does being mean? I hear it sometimes, and do I just have to sit still? Like, is that the only way you can just be? So in your mind and what you teach, what does being mean, where the peace lies?
Yeah. So that being is being so conscious of who you are being, what you are thinking, what you are feeling, what emotions are going on for you right here, right now, and being okay with it.
Right. Yeah.
So even if there's some fear coming up, it's actually to be conscious of it, to go, oh, isn't that interesting? There's some fear there.
Yeah.
But being okay with it and not allowing that fear to take over. So you can actually walk around and do this. You can do your stuff and, wash the dishes and do your work and all of that, because stuff happens, 95% is all subconscious, and it's just being conscious of the unconscious and bring it into your awareness. So for me, I always say there's 3 steps to transformation. And the first step is awareness. So being is being aware of your thoughts and catching them before they come something else. That is being. We come back to that center. And I know that you've got Erin Ashley on today, and I bet you she's going to say very similar. Like, we've got the same philosophies. She'll explain it in a different, more beautiful, gentle way. So for me, though, it's like you just get to be in that alignment of right here, right now, everything is okay. Because right here, right now, I'm here with you. We're wearing red. We're serving the world. Yeah. Everything's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, definitely. And it's, and that's a continuous practice too, right? So, I'm always really conscious around interviews like this and other things that we watch, and that it seems like they're just speaking about it like it's easy and that it comes so naturally, and it certainly does not. It doesn't. So for those, Genine was a coach of mine for a really long time. And what I got to learn with you is, through all the mess is beauty, right? And only last week I was on my couch and I was crying because there was just so much going on and so much emotion. And I was like, okay, who do I need to call to distract myself? Who do I need to call? Who do I need to see? What do I need to do to not feel? I don't want to feel right now. Okay, what do I need to do? This is not conscious thinking though. And then I caught myself and I'm like, whoa. For 5 minutes, my brain is going around and around. Okay, text everyone. Who can I hear from? Who can I call? Excellent. Okay, blah, blah, blah. But that's just to avoid the feeling part. Yeah. So when I sat and just felt, then it can start to dissipate, but it comes up all of the time. This is just the experience of being human.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't not feel.
No.
So the being is about the awareness of what we're feeling. Step 2 is the acceptance of that. So for me, if it's fear, I'll go, oh, isn't that interesting that I'm feeling fear around that? Okay. All right, well, I get that's understandable that I'm feeling fear and anxiety. Okay, well, what do I choose to do about that? All right, well, I can feel it and then let it go because I know that right here, right now, everything's perfect. That's number 3, the transformation.
Yeah.
So that's steps 1, 2, 3. Step 1, awareness. Step 2, acceptance of the feelings that you are having actually allows for step 3. And I think a lot of people in the coaching space forget step 2. And so clients can actually feel less than or something's wrong with them if they go, but I'm feeling fear, but how do I get to the transformation? Because they're trying to block it. And she said, like, clear that off. Don't have fear. Be fearless. Like, don't feel like I used to not feel in a previous company. Like, I used to pack it all down. Don't want to feel that because it's scary to feel. Yes. So allowing it to come up and out allows it to be cleared.
Yeah. And I think that's really important I think that's the next step past everyone saying, be positive, be positive, be positive. And I think the really conscious space and the space for transformation and true self-awareness to get through this and thrive is actually, forget just trying to be positive, positive, positive. It's actually just feeling what's going on and accepting it, right? I think that's the layer on top of where we need to be.
Yeah.
So I'm mindful of our time together. So what I'd like to finish on is two things as a business coach and an entrepreneur and a woman of many, many talents and areas of expertise, so the business sense, and then also parenthood and motherhood and being in a family. So in business, for you and what you've seen with all of your clients and what you're experiencing and feeling in the world at the moment, what would be your one piece of advice for somebody that is unsure of how their business is going to survive at the moment in the current climate?
So for business wise, I would say it's not about you. If you are in your own world worrying about how am I going to pay the bills, how am I going to make money, you're in an energy of getting, switch it to an energy of service. And if you can give from a place of love, the love frequency. And if anyone doesn't know, 528 hertz, Google it, beautiful music you can play in your house during the day, rises you to the frequency of love. You can do it from a place of love and service. You cannot go wrong.
Perfect. There's so many layers within that, but that's just perfect. And what about for motherhood, for family, for children now? Yes, they are at home being homeschooled and now you're responsible for that. So there's all these different things. So what's your one piece of advice for mums or for dads as well? Doesn't matter, parents, for the family home to thrive, to be okay during this time?
Absolutely. So if you're coming from a place of worrying about the kids not getting enough education, they're messing up the house, etc., you're coming from a place of self, you're not coming from a place of service and love. It's the same, right? So it's literally the same. So if you can actually move to a feeling of love about the whole situation, you see it through different eyes. There's so many songs about seeing it through rose-colored glasses. Like if you just switch the frequency of how you're seeing things and feeling things, that shifts everything.
Yeah.
And so like everything we've talked about today on this interview comes back to the same thing. It's a choice that you have to switch your focus to a place of love, frequency, and seeing that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah.
And that can change your business, how you serve people, and how you have a relationship with your family and children.
Yeah, perfect. And for me to get into that space, the one question I ask myself, just for everybody watching, is how can I see this through eyes of love and compassion? And that will instantly alter my focus. Again, it's up to your focus. So that's just something that you might want to start practicing, right? It's always a practice. And I'm going to finish all interviews with this question, Genine, because I think it's an important one for this space and what we've created here. So what does a happy home look like to you?
A happy home looks like mess. A happy home looks like cubby houses and puzzles and chickens and dogs and all sorts of messiness and lots of laughter.
Yeah.
In amongst it all. That's a happy home to me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Genine. So if anybody wants to start following you and start finding out more about you and what you do and what you offer in this world, what can they do? Where can they reach you?
The best place is actually Facebook. So find me at Genine Howard. So Genine Howard. Just go check out my personal page. That'll lead you to all the other areas. And we've got loads of free training for businesses at the moment to pivot and prosper. So that's loads of free training. I've got to get on my call in 15 minutes for my free training, hence the reason we're finishing up.
Yeah.
And just even friend request me as well. I'm here to support.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Genine. And thanks to everyone for tuning in to round 1 for day 1 of the Happy Home Summit.